Pilgrim's Progress, Chapter 15. Now I saw in my dream that by this time the pilgrims had passed over the Enchanted Ground and entered into the country of Beulah, whose air was very sweet and pleasant. Since the way went directly through Beulah, the pilgrims found comfort and relief as they traveled through this country. Here they heard the continual singing of birds, saw flowers appear on the earth, and heard the voice of the turtle-dove in the land. In this country the sun shone night and day. Beulah was beyond the valley of the shadow of death, and also out of the reach of giant despair, nor could they even see Doubting Castle from this place. Here they were within sight of the city to which they were going. They also met some of the inhabitants of the country, for in this land the Shining Ones commonly walked because it was upon the borders of heaven. In this land also the contract between the bride and the bridegroom was renewed. As the bridegroom rejoiceth over the bride, so did their God rejoice over them. Here they had no lack of bread or wine, for in this place they met with an abundance of what they had sought during all their pilgrimage. Here they heard voices from outside the city, loud voices proclaiming, Say ye to the daughter of Zion, Behold, thy salvation cometh. Behold, his reward is with him. Here all the inhabitants of the country called them the holy people, the redeemed of the Lord, these sought out. Now as they walked in this land, they rejoiced more than they had in any other part of the journey. And as they came near the celestial city, they could see that it was built of pearls and precious stones, and that the streets were paved with gold. The natural glory of the city and the sunbeam's reflection on it made Christian feel sick with desire. Hopeful also had a few bouts of the same sickness. The sickness was so great that they had to rest from their journey while crying out because of the deep pangs of desire. If ye find my beloved, tell him that I am sick with love. Finally, they got some of their strength back and were able to bear their sickness. As they walked on their way, coming even nearer to the city, they came upon orchards, vineyards, and gardens that were open to the highway. It was there that they saw a gardener standing in the path. The pilgrims asked him, Whose lovely vineyards and gardens are these? He answered, They are the king's, and are planted here for us for his own delight, and also for the solace of pilgrims. So the gardener invited them into the vineyards and told them to refresh themselves. He also showed them the king's favorite walkways and arbors, and here they tarried and slept. Now I beheld in my dream that during this time Christian and Hopeful talked more in their sleep than they ever did during the entire journey. The reason for this is that the grapes of these vineyards go down so sweetly that they cause the lips of those to sleep to speak. So I saw that when they awoke, they prepared to go up to the city. But the reflection of the sun upon the city, for the city was pure gold, was so extremely glorious that they could not behold it without covering their eyes. They could only see it by looking through an instrument made just for that purpose. So I saw that as they went on, they met two men whose raiment shone like gold, and whose faces shone as the light. These men asked the pilgrims where they came from, and they told them. They also asked them where they had lodged, what difficulties and dangers, what comforts and pleasures they had met on the way. After listening to their answers, the men who met them said, You have only 2 more difficulties to overcome, and then you are in the city. Then Christian and his companion asked the men to go along with them, so they told them they would. But, they said, you must enter the city by your own faith. So I saw in my dream that they went on together until they came within sight of the gate. Now between them and the gate was a river, but there was no bridge to go over, and the river was very deep. At the sight of this river the pilgrims were stunned. Then the men who met with them said, You must go through the river, or you cannot enter into the city at the gate. The pilgrims then began to inquire if there was no other way to the gate, to which they answered, Yes, but there have only been 2, Enoch and Elijah, permitted to tread that path since the foundation of the world, and no one else will be permitted to go that way until the last trumpet shall sound. Then the pilgrims, especially Christian, began to despair in their minds. They looked this way and that, but no way could be found to escape the river. Then they asked the men if the waters were deep everywhere all the time. They told them that sometimes the water was shallow, but they could not guide them in that matter, since the waters were deep or shallow depending upon their faith in the king of the place. Then they waded into the water, and upon entering, Christian began to sink. He cried out to his good friend Hopeful, saying, I am sinking in deep waters. The billows are going over my head. All his waves go over me." Then Hopeful said, "Be of good cheer, my brother. I feel the bottom, and it is good." Then Christian cried out, "Ah, my friend, the sorrows of death have compassed me about. I shall not see the land that flows with milk and honey." With that, a great darkness and horror fell upon Christian, so that he could not see ahead. It was then that Christian lost his senses, and his memory failed him, and he could not talk in an orderly fashion of any of those sweet refreshments that he had met with in the way of his pilgrimage. All the words that he spoke were filled with horror, and he feared that he should die in that river and never obtain entrance at the gate. He was greatly troubled by thoughts of his past sins, committed before and during his pilgrimage. It was also observed that he was troubled with apparitions of hobgoblins and evil spirits, which he continually spoke about. It was everything that Hopeful could do to keep his brother's head above water. Sometimes Christian, despite all Hopeful's help, would slip down into the waters and rise up again half dead. Hopeful continually tried to comfort him, saying, "Brother, I see the gate, and men standing by to receive us." But Christian would answer, "It is you. It is you they wait for. You have been Hopeful ever since I knew you." "And so have you," Hopeful said to Christian. Christian answered, "If things were right with me, he would now come to help me, but because of my sin he has brought me to this snare, and he will leave me here." Then said Hopeful, "My brother, you have forgotten the text where it is said of the wicked, 'There are no bands in their death, but their strength is firm. They are not in trouble as other men, neither are they plagued like other men.' These troubles and distresses that you are going through in these waters are not a sign that God has forsaken you, but are sent to try you, to see if you will call to mind all the goodness that you have received from him. You are being tested to see if you will rely on him in your distress." Then I saw in my dream that Christian was in a bewildered stupor for a while. Hopeful spoke to Christian, encouraging him to be of good cheer, reminding him that Jesus Christ would make him whole. With that, Christian shouted out with a loud voice, "Oh, I see him again, and he tells me, 'When you pass through the waters, I will be with you, and through the rivers, they will not overflow you.' Then they both took courage and crossed the river, and the enemy was as still as a stone. Christian soon found solid ground to stand on, and the rest of the river was shallow. So Christian and Hopeful crossed the river and arrived to the other side. As soon as they came out of the river, they saw the two shining men again waiting for them. The men saluted the two pilgrims, saying, 'We are ministering spirits, sent here to minister to those who shall be heirs of salvation.' Then they all went along together toward the gate. Now though the city stood upon a mighty hill with its foundations higher than the clouds, the pilgrims went up with ease, agility, and speed, because the ministering spirits supported their arms as they led them. Also, they had left their mortal garments behind them in the river, for though they had gone in with them, they had come out without them. They went up through the regions of the air, sweetly talking as they went, being comforted because they had safely crossed over the river and had such glorious companions to assist them. They spoke about the glory of the place with the shining ones, who replied that the beauty and glory of it was inexpressible. Then they said to them, "It's Mount Zion, the heavenly Jerusalem, the innumerable company of angels, and the spirits of just men made righteous. You are going now," they said, "to the paradise of God, wherein you shall see the tree of life, and eat of its never-fading fruits. When you come there, you shall have white robes given to you, and you shall walk and talk every day with the King, even all the days of eternity. There you shall not again see such things as you saw when you were in the lower region upon the earth. You will not see sorrow, sickness, affliction, and death, for the former things are passed away. You are now going to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and to the prophets, men whom God has taken away from the veil, to come who are now resting upon their beds, each one walking in his righteousness." Christian and Hopeful asked, "What must we do in this holy place?" The shining ones answered, "You must receive the comforts of all your toil, and have joy for all your sorrow. You must reap what you have sown, even the fruit of all your prayers, tears, and sufferings in your journey for the King. In that place you must wear crowns of gold, and enjoy the perpetual sight and vision of the Holy One, for there you shall see him as he is. There also you shall serve him continually with praise, shouting, and thanksgiving. him whom you desired to serve in the world, though with much difficulty, because of the infirmity of your flesh. There your eyes shall be delighted with seeing, and your ears with hearing the pleasant voice of the Mighty One. There you shall enjoy your friends again, those who have gone before you, and there you shall receive with joy all those who follow you to this holy place. You shall also be clothed with glory and majesty, and ride with the King of glory in his royal carriage. When he shall come with the sound of the trumpet in the clouds, as upon the wings of the wind, you shall also come with him. And when he shall sit upon the throne of judgment, you shall sit by him. Yea, and when he passes sentence upon all the workers of iniquity, whether angels or men, you also shall have a voice in that judgment, because they were his and your enemies. And when he shall return again to the city with the sound of the trumpet, you shall go too, and forever be with him. Now while they were thus drawing toward the gate, a company of the heavenly host came out to meet them. To which the shining ones who attended Christian and Hopeful said, These are the men who have loved our Lord when they were in the world, and who have left all for his holy name. He has sent us to fetch them, and we have brought them to the very place they have desired to be, that they may go in and look their Redeemer in the face with joy. Then the heavenly host gave a great shout, saying, Blessed are they who are called unto the marriage supper of the Lamb. There came out also at this time to meet them several of the king's trumpeters, clothed in white and shining raiment. They made loud melodious noises, and made the heavens echo with their sound. With shouting and the sounds of trumpets, these trumpeters saluted Christian and his companion with 10,000 welcomes. After this they surrounded them on every side. Some went before, some behind, some on the right hand, some on the left, so as to guard them through the upper regions, continually making majestic sounds as they went, with melodious noise and notes on high. To anyone looking, it would have appeared that heaven itself had come down to meet them. And so they walked on together. And as they walked, the trumpeters mixed their joyful music with looks and gestures that signified to Christian and Hopeful how welcome they were in their company. They never stopped telling them how glad they were to meet them. As the two pilgrims approached heaven, it seemed to them that they were being swallowed up with the sight of angels and the sound of their melodious music. And it was then that the city itself came into their view, and they thought that they heard all the bells in the city ringing to welcome them. But above all, they had warm and joyful thoughts about living there with such company, and that forever and ever. Oh, by what tongue or pen can their glorious joy be expressed? And so they came up to the gate. Now when they had come up to the gate, they saw written over it in letters of gold, Blessed are they who do his commandments, that they may have the right to the tree of life, and may enter in through the gates of the city. Then I saw in my dream that the shining men told them to call at the gate. When they did, Enoch, Moses, and Elijah looked down from over the gate. It was then that someone said to those great men of God, These pilgrims have come from the city of destruction for the love they have for the king of this place. Then Christian and Hopeful gave them their certificates that they had received in the beginning. The certificates were carried in to the king, who, when he had read them, said, Where are these men? They are standing outside the gate, came the answer. The king then commanded them to open the gate, that the righteous nation, said he, which keepeth the truth, may enter in. Now I saw in my dream that Christian and Hopeful went in through the gate, and as they entered, they were transfigured and clothed with raiment that shone like gold. Then they were met by others with harps and crowns, who gave them harps with which to praise, and crowns in token of the king's honor. Then I heard in my dream all the bells in the city ringing out for joy. Then Christian and Hopeful were told, Enter ye into the joy of your Lord. I also heard Christian and Hopeful sing with a loud voice, Blessing and honor and glory and power be unto him that sitteth upon the throne, and unto the Lamb forever and ever. Now just as the gates were opened to let them in, I looked in myself, and I saw the city shining like the sun. The streets were paved with gold, and on them walked many men with crowns on their heads, palms in their hands, and golden harps to sing praises. There were also among them winged angels, and they shouted to one another continually, proclaiming, Holy, holy, holy is the Lord. And after that, they shut up the gates. Having seen what was inside the gates, I wished that I could join them. Now while I was looking at all these things, I turned my head to look back, and I saw ignorance approaching the river. He crossed without any of the difficulty that Christian and Hopeful had, since there were ferrymen named Vain Hope ready to take him across in his boat. Once Ignorance arrived on the other side of the river, he ascended the hill just like Christian and Hopeful, except that no one had come to meet him or give him any encouragement as he made his way to the city. When he had come up to the gate, he looked up and read what was written above it. He then began to knock, supposing that he would quickly be invited in. But instead of the gates opening, he was asked by the men who looked over the top of the gate, "Where did you come from? What do you want?" Ignorance answered, "I have eaten and have drunk in the presence of the king, and he has taught in our streets." Then they asked him for his certificate, that they might go in and show it to the king. Ignorance fumbled in his pockets, but found nothing. Then they asked, "Don't you have a certificate?" Ignorance made no reply, not a word. So they told the king, but he would not come down to meet him. He commanded the two shining ones who had conducted Christian and Hopeful to the city to go out and take Ignorance away, binding him hand and foot. Then they took him up and carried him through the air to the door that I saw on the side of the hill, and in there they put him. Then I saw that there was a way to hell from the gates of heaven, as well as from the city of destruction. So I awoke, and behold, it was a dream. This has been chapter 15 of Pilgrim's Progress, and this is the conclusion, the song at the end. Now, reader, I have told my dream to thee. See if you can interpret it to me, or to yourself or to your neighbor, but take heed of misinterpreting, for that instead of doing good will but thyself abuse. By misinterpreting, evil ensues. Take heed also that thou be not extreme in playing with the outside of my dream, nor let my figure or similitude put thee into laughter or a feud. Leave this for boys and fools, but as for thee, do thou the substance of my matter see. Pull aside the curtains, look within my veil, turn over my metaphors, and do not fail. There, if thou seekest them, such things thou wilt find, as will be helpful to an honest mind. What if my dross thou foundest there? Be bold to throw away, but yet preserve the gold. What if my gold be wrapped in ore? None throws away the apple for the core. But if thou cast all away as vain, I know not, but it will make me dream again. This ends the book, Pilgrim's Progress. I hope you've enjoyed it.